guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, I am Kristen and thank you so much for joining in. I am so excited for today's video. It's going to be all about marriage advice, and not just from me because I've only been married for 2.5 years, so it is going to be from all generations. First, I'm going to tell you 5 things that my husband and I do just to have a healthier marriage. We also work together as business partners, so we strive to be the best teammate as one. So that's what I'm going to be talking about for us. In the next generation, I'm going to be using my brother and sister-in-law. They have 2 young kids and they've been married for 5 years. Then I'm going to go on to my parents' advice. I'm their youngest child, so all of their kids are married, out of the house. They went through homeschooling, all of us. They've been through a bit as far as marriage and raising kids and everything that comes with it. And then I'm going to go on to my grandparents' marriage, and they have been married for 54 years, which is so sweet. I'm just really excited for this, and I've been doing a lot of studying about it and scripture, and I really am praying that I can just spread words of wisdom and not mislead you guys through this. So let's get right into it. Starting off, it's 5 things that make Dominic and I more of a team in our marriage. Just want to start off with this verse. It's Matthew 19:6. So then they are no longer 2, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined, let no man separate. So obviously marriage is a God-pleasing thing, which means the devil wants to try everything he can to make you unhappy with each other, cause disagreements and fights and just stressful things in life. Scripture just really shows let no man separate, or the devil. Number 1 thing that we have is communication is key. It is so important to communicate to your spouse just as you would think to yourself. Obviously, sometimes we have random little thoughts that don't mean anything. But if you are seriously stressed out, or if you're super thankful for something they did, you should voice that. We need to let each other know our emotions, where we're at that day. Also, just things that in the future, if stuff is going on. If you know about something that someone asks you if you guys want to do, make sure you communicate it to your spouse. Simple things, and in that, be slow to speak and quick to listen. Everything you do and what you speak, it should be done in love. So if you're communicating, try to do it in love in the most peaceful way as possible. So that leads into number 2, which is being open and 100% honest with your feelings. Do not try to hide your emotions from your spouse. It's very easy when you feel frustrated or mad or annoyed at something little that they did, or even if it's a big thing, it's easier to just waltz off. For me, it's cleaning the house like crazy. For Dominic, it might be being alone in his office. So for example, if Dominic's feeling overwhelmed, I know that normally means he needs alone time. I am more of a needy person, he's more of an independent person. So for him, when he's overwhelmed, I'm like, okay, that's all right. I will leave you alone. Let me know when you're done having your alone time. And that's much better. But if he wasn't to voice that, I would probably be right in the same room, right by his side, talking to him all the time, and he wouldn't be able to get over that overwhelmed feeling. If I am in a phase of being moody, and I don't know why, because sometimes that's how us ladies are, he just knows that's normally when I need a nap. He will quit whatever he's doing and he will just tuck me into bed, and then he'll let me sleep. And normally I'll wake up to like a cleaner house or things picked up, and I'm in a lot better mood. So we know what the other person needs, and it's worth voicing how you're feeling so that they have the chance to help you through it. The third one is always look out for your spouse's needs before your own. 1 John 3:18, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Basically saying love through your actions, and that shows how you love. It's still good to love in words, but make sure it's words of truth. If you're both always looking out for the other person before yourself, this is going to make you so much more of a team rather than selfishly working for your own good and for your own desires. That's going to make you completely separated and really going to be combating the team effect that you're supposed to go for. Number 4 leads off number 3. Don't just try to be a team, because some teams can really be awful and they're always losing. If you don't put in the work, you're never going to win and you're never going to get anywhere. So don't just be like, okay, we're a team, we're one, we're good to go. No, try to be the best team, the most efficient team, where you are always winning the problem. All of the things that this world, new life phases, and the devil tries to throw at your marriage to break you down. So we are ultimately a team fighting against the devil and this world that tries to break down our marriage. So with trying to be an efficient team, we pay attention to what one can do the certain things in life best. For example, I am very business minded. I love business. I handle more of the front of the business, the one that like does all the emails, talks to the clients, all the communication part of it. But then as far as him, he does more of the technology stuff. He's way better with technology, paying bills, making sure things are done on time, basically all the behind the scenes and not like upfront communication. That's where he shines. That's where we just know I'm best in this area, he's best in this area. So that's how we're gonna do it, and it works super well for us. The same thing is, I'm a morning person by far, and he is an extreme night owl. So in the morning, he is so tired, and at night, I get really tired because I could easily be up at 5 in the morning. So in the morning, I always drive to jobs, even if it's like to church or just weekend stuff. Like I always drive in the morning, and he always drives in the afternoon. So that works really well. But with knowing that he's a night owl, I know that I need to be more patient with him. I need to take longer to wake him up in the morning. I can't just wake up and be like, get up, come on, we gotta go. I need to wake him up a while before. I try to just be patient, unloving with him. I'll give him a back scratch, whatever, just like pay attention to the mood that he's in and try to be as kind as possible, because I know he is in his most sensitive state is in the morning. Whereas for me, he does the same for me at night. That is my most sensitive time. It's times that we may react in ways that we typically wouldn't react during the day because we're just too tired, we're out of sorts. Our emotions are up here instead of down here. So we know how to treat each other through that time. So with that, he always puts me in bed at night. He tucks me in nice and cozy. It's like my favorite part. He'll fill our humidifiers. He'll get me my water bottle. So it's really nice that taking that time to learn each other, we can then serve each other. So as far as things around the house, I prefer washing dishes, he prefers drying them. I prefer actually cleaning, whereas he's better at like tidying up. If I tidy up, I get distracted with like full-blown organizing closets. So we know each other's strong points and weak points, and we try to disperse them evenly and efficiently as possible. Through this, we know Dominic is still the man of the house. He is in charge of the household. This isn't saying that we're even as far as leadership. He is the head of the house. Number 5, last thing for us, is to have weekly resets. I would say if you have kids and a hectic life, this is super important. Also, if you have a business together, it's also very important. The biggest thing for Dom and I is I have very high expectations and he has very low expectations. So I'm more of a dreamer, we're gonna do this and this and this, where he's like way more easygoing and calm. So I can't just go into the next week thinking all of these things in my head, not telling him, and then the next day being like, well, Dominic, we have a to-do list of 20 things. And then he's like, oh, well, I didn't know that. This is ultimately your time to plan your week together, let each other know your expectations, and make sure you are on the same terms with everything. This is also when you should be able to bring up things that have been on your heart. If you are battling with something in your heart towards that person, or let's say if I'm going through a spiritual low point, I'll be praying about it for the week. I'll be trying to get in my Bible, and sometimes it just feels like there's a wall. So I'll say, hey, this week has been harder on my spiritual walk. I've been struggling with getting into the Bible more, and he can pray for me. Let's say there's things that you communicated about right away when you have those feelings, and it's still not fixed. Some feelings don't just go away, even if you do communicate it. Sometimes it's not something that someone can help. So with that gives you time to say, hey, I'm still struggling with this. Even though we talked about this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, I'm still struggling with it. So then you have the time to talk about it further and pray about it as well together. There should also be an open time to say things that the other person may be doing that is frustrating to you, doesn't seem to be getting any better on your side of the feelings. And so you should be able to voice that in a humble way without them feeling targeted or feeling like they need to victimize themselves. This should be an open time for you both to be slow to speak and quick to listen, and just really putting yourself both in a humble state, bettering the other person. Make sure to be there for one another, actually caring about what they have to say and how you may be able to encourage them through your reply. This is also your time to game plan, to discuss how you can do better moving forward into the next week. Even if your marriage feels almost perfect, that's great. That's wonderful. Good job. But you can never have a perfect marriage, and so you can always have a chance to talk about how you can make it better. There's always room for improvement. I have one more just little thing, and that is that we try our best to never go to bed angry. And there is a difference between disagreeing and angry. We don't want to be angry with our spouse, especially when going to bed, because you just bring that problem into the next day in an angry attitude rather than a peaceful, loving attitude. So we try our best to, even if we have a disagreement and it's getting really late, we want to go to bed, that's fine. You don't have to resolve everything in one day. Sometimes it's too big of a thing, there's too many emotions to resolve it in the day. If you know you're in disagreement about something, I would recommend praying in the beginning and then also praying afterwards. So even if it's not resolved, if you're going to go to bed, pray together so that your heart is in the right position and you're not going to bed angry. You might still not be happy, but that's different than angry. That was the last 5 of mine. Now for my brother and sister-in-law's advice. So my brother said, not only trying to meet your spouse's needs, but getting good at communicating your own needs and expectations. So that way they know how to serve you how you feel served and love you how you feel loved. Don't make them play the guessing game. You can each have different love languages, so therefore you're each going to feel loved and receive love differently. So it's important to make sure you are loving and serving your spouse in the way that they are going to receive it. When we are loving our spouse, it needs to be for them and not for our own satisfaction. When in a disagreement, do not let that define your marriage. A bad day or a few bad days will not affect your overall strong foundational marriage. And instead of the me versus you mentality, have it be our team versus the problem mentality. And it's very important to always keep a very high view of your marriage. So this is my sister-in-law's advice. She says, learn how to argue right. Don't make it a fight. There's a difference between arguing and fighting. Arguing is 2 different opinions trying to come to an agreement. So through this, always give them the chance to talk and then repeat it back to them what they said to you so that you both know that you are not getting different words than what they're saying, taking things the wrong way. This makes sure you are getting the exact right picture of what they were saying. This is like top-notch communication. Remember, in these situations of arguments, decisions are never going to be one-sided where you don't have your chance to voice what you think would be best. So here's my mom's advice. It's to love each other through life and all the changes that life can bring to you. Changes one might go through and struggle with within themselves. Having kids, changing jobs, moving, homeschooling kids, there's so much that can go on. With all of those possible changes and things that each one of you may be going through, try to be as loving and as patient and selfless and understanding as possible towards your spouse. Then my dad's advice is, do not withhold affection from each other. I think you can know what that means to all extents. Also to give each other quality and meaningful time. Taking your time out of your day to do something for or with your spouse to better them before yourself. So then we have my grandpa's advice. They have been through it all. Had a farm together, they owned the business together, they homeschooled their kids, and then their kids also went to public school. They were missionaries, he was a pastor, so they have been through so much in their marriage. Now they have grandkids and great-grandkids. It's just so cool to see the generation come down from them and how beautiful and such a good example their marriage is. So the first thing he says is try to do devotions with your spouse every day. And then also ask them how you are doing with them today. So not asking them, hey, how are you doing today? Ask them, how am I doing with you today? Am I being a good spouse towards you today? Quietly listen to what they have to say in a humble manner. Then they ask you the same thing, and then you reply in the same way, whereas they would be listening in the humble manner and you would be replying honestly. This needs to be done in a very careful way with maturity, love, and peace. All right, here's my grandma's one. It's a mic drop. It's a good one to end on. Doing the dishes for your wife is never a bad idea. I really don't think your wife would ever be mad at you for doing the dishes for her. And if she is, then that's probably her own thing she needs to work out in her heart. That is it for the advice. Now I have a couple things of scripture for marriage that I wanted to read. So the first one is 1 Corinthians 13, 4-5. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. I actually expounded on this a lot more in my day in the life of a Monday vlog, so if you want to hear what I have to say about that verse, you should go watch that. It's somewhat in the beginning of the video. I really love that verse for so many reasons beyond just how you should act throughout your marriage. The next couple verses are Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. I really hope that this advice and information can be useful to you and benefit you in your marriage. I do want to say that everyone that gave advice, we know that we're not perfect in our marriage. My marriage has many of flaws. We mess up. We are sinful. We are not perfect towards each other. So definitely don't try to compare your marriage to the things that I said and assuming that those things always happen, always go perfectly, because that's not true. I don't want you guys to have a false image of our marriage thinking that we're perfect, because we are not. Only take your time and energy to focus on your own and how you can better your own marriage rather than paying attention to other people's marriage and how great it looks. All right, y'all, we're gonna end it here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please let me know what your favorite advice was. It would be fun to know what stands out to each person. If you think this video could help out anybody else, please feel free to share it with them and like and subscribe. Bye guys. Those are my 3 favorite humans, so special.